Sometimes late at night.
Hey y'all, this is Garth Brooks.
I lie awake.
You know, Garth Brooks enjoys a good podcast now and then, but he really appreciates the podcasts that are done by people in their basements. Garth Brooks likes to call them basement dwellers. You should listen to the independent podcasters that can't afford to advertise on the front of iTunes or on the front of Stitcher. Support the independent guys, because we all started from somewhere. Garth Brooks started in Oklahoma because that's where Garth Brooks was born. And now, Garth Brooks presents Mike Matthews out of his basement. He's a basement dweller, and it's Mike's Daily Podcast.
This show is clean, pretty much.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 838. Hello, it's Mike Matthews broadcasting from Cafe Anyway here at the last place on earth, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley. Today it's the return of the much-loved feature, the MIKELOPEDIA INSANICA, where we hear some fascinating facts you didn't know. Plus, it's Madame Rootabega, Valentino, Bison Bentley, and McDonald's is hazardous to your health, especially if you try to work there.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
We'll find out why I don't have any hair. Sometimes I think that's not fair.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
But then sometimes I kind of like it. So I recently visited in California, a town with a cool downtown called Petaluma. I like that name. It makes me want to get a pet a puma. There's one thing about this town that will ruin you, and that is that there is no public bathrooms. Oh yeah.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
So I have to tell you that I publicly peed on Petaluma.
Mike's
Plosives.
Daily
No, into
Podcast.
a urinal.
Yeah!
Unusual. Petaluma's lack of bathrooms. I saw Basil pee on a sandcastle at Half Moon Bay. That was inspiring and kind of funny. Look who just walked in.
Hello, Madam Rootabega. This is Madame Rootabega, and that is so sad that Basil's about to peed on some poor little kid's sandcastle. He probably worked so hard to make the sandcastle, won't your dog peed on it? Oh!
Yeah, it is. It is kind of mean. Basil, don't ever do that again. I know. When you gotta go, you gotta go. Isn't that right, Madame Rootabega?
Michael, yeah, that is right.
Ooh, look who else just walked in.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the barking attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, we just wanted to tell you we was listening to your last show and we decided we was gonna do some fact-checking day.
Yeah, fact-checking. Do you know that?
What was it specifically? Maybe that I said it was St. Patrick's Day on the last show when it clearly wasn't. It's tomorrow.
Yeah, oh, wait a minute. No, we don't have that. We found out the facts that were incorrect day.
Yeah, fact-checking. Do you know that?
I don't know what Bison just said, but could it have been that I mentioned briefly about Texas having a really good energy system? And in fact, they do. They are the only state in America that makes and consumes its own energy, its own power. Whereas like here in California, we have to buy our power from other states and other parts of the country. And we're very dependent, as we also are about our water. We get our water all from here in the Bay Area from Lake Chimichanga. Tehachapi. Lake Hetch Hetchy.
Mike Gesundheit Day.
That's such a great old joke. And then, that's why I brought up the whole desalinization thing. That, and it was rhyming with the other stuff that I was saying. And then also, did you bring up the fact that I was on another podcast?
Yeah, Mike, we heard you on that show, and we did some fact-checking, and you were wrong day, too.
Yeah, fact-checking. Yeah!
Bison Bentley is having like a seizure, or search and seizure. You know what I did? I was on Aaron Fonseca's show, And I did say something wrong that I heard later, and that is the whole Ultron thing coming up with the Avengers. I said it was Kevin Spacey, and it's not. It's James Spader. I always get those guys mixed up. James Spader, Kevin Spacey, David Spade. I get them all. The wires are crossed in my head.
Michael Marshall, is it like the guy from the Big Bang series that has a name like the guy from the Supernatural show?
Woo. Yes, the James Padalecki. Wait, it's Johnny Galecki on Big Bang Theory, Jared Padalecki on the Supernatural show. Yes, we mentioned that before. Gosh, these actors just have... Well, you know, my name, Mike Matthews, there's an author... He writes books, and that's what an author does, Mike. Oh, really? Yeah, it's true. Okay. What, are we talking with ourselves now? Why, no, Mike, we would never do that. That sounds stupid and ridiculous, and it's a hack. It's a hack sort of move, cliche, kind of, what's the word?
Mike, are you trying to think of the word shtick?
Yeah, shtick. Bison Bentley, are you going to say something?
Yeah, stick, chicken. Do you know that?
Exactly. So, anyway, Mike Matthews, Cafe Anyway is where we are. Anyway, Mike Matthews is an author who's very buff, good-looking young guy. And when you look him up, when you write my name, Mike Matthews, in Facebook in the search bar, he's the first guy to pop up. You are welcome, ladies, because I know you're going to like that drink of water versus me, not so much of a drink. I'm more of a small chip on the floor because I have high self-esteem. I'm just a sucker with no self-esteem. Oh yeah, that's right. That's also a bit of what we got into in the last show, because that's what the cartoon was. The podcast picture was John Deere the engineer and I discussing the whole thing about self-esteem and people that are not good cheerleaders, that are your friends, that they don't never give you any support or praise or help you out in your struggles in life. And that's all right, because I was there to help out Aaron Fonseca's show, and I was on his podcast. And the one thing I was not a big fan of being on Aaron Fonseca's show is that he said the word abortion twice, not actually meaning like an actual one, but he was referring to Green Lantern, because we talk about nerdy stuff. So in summation, James Spader, and next time referring to Green Lantern, say abomination instead of the other word. I think that's what we've learned. And that Texas has an amazing power system. And that McDonald's, it's hazardous to work there. Did you know this? Have you worked at McDonald's? Shania Twain did. And according to Reuters, yes, she did. McDonald's Corporation restaurant workers from 19 U.S. cities complained to regulators today that their working conditions, guess what, they're hazardous. They received severe burns from hot grills and fryer oil. Workers taking part in the Service Employees International Union-backed Fight for $15 an Hour campaign opened a new front in their 2-year drive to increase pay and improve conditions in the fast food industry by filing 28 state and federal complaints over health and safety. McDonald's workers, who already have claimed that they have been subjected to wage theft, racial discrimination, and retaliation for attempting to unionize, they hope to hold McDonald's Corporation responsible for the actions of its franchises. Some experts say a win would actually force McDonald's to work and negotiate with the workers and the union. They said that workers were pressured to clean and filter fryer oil while it was still hot. They also said that many stores lacked basic first aid kits or protective gear, and that managers told workers to treat burns with condiments, like mustard or mayonnaise. Oh, you just burned yourself. Oh, that doesn't need grafting. That just needs a little mayo. Actually, sir, it needs the Mayo Clinic. Shut up and do what I say. McDonald's said the company and its franchisees are committed to providing safe working conditions for employees in their roughly 14,000 restaurants in the U.S. Do you remember the show My Name is Earl? The director of the first 2 Iron Man movies, and then he has starred in Iron Man and Avenger movies. He is Jon Favreau. He starred in an episode of My Name is Earl where he is the manager of a fast food restaurant, and Earl has to work there, and they kind of go through all this type stuff. And it made me never want to eat at another fast food restaurant again. I don't. Well, wait a minute. Is the Habit considered fast food? That's like this big... I don't know. Is it where you are? In California, they got them all over the place. I think it started somewhere in Southern California. Now they're all over the Bay Area. I ate at one recently. It's hamburgers. And it's... That's fast food, Mike. Dang it, I'm talking to myself again. And then there's also a local franchise called Mr. Pickles I ate at too recently on my Petaluma trip when I was peeing on Petaluma. Petaluma, man, get some public restrooms. You've got people eating crappy food at local fast food chains and they need to pee. So please, do what you can. Put a pot out. You don't want your citizens feeling like they don't have a pot to pee in. Saying that line whilst sounding like I was about to laugh, I don't know if that helped that at all. If that made you kind of giggle a little, whatever. That's not what this podcast is about. This podcast is here to inform and entertain and to give Madame Rootabega a platform to show off her amazing acting skills. Madame Rootabega, go.
Okay, Earl, I want you to clean up this mess now in this fast food restaurant. I'm Jon Favreau. Ooh.
That was beautiful. Wow.
Thank you, Michael Master. You're helping me with my self-esteem. Ooh.
You're welcome. Valentino, Bison Bentley, any other facts to check?
We weren't listening. Tea Party Express all the way. D.
Yeah, Tea Express fact checking. You know that?
Wow. All right, so what do you think about all of that? I'm not even going to bother repeating all of that because that would just take the end of the podcast, and we've got important things to get to now. But you can email me, mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com, and you can also email me there if you'd like to be a guest on the show or if you'd like to sponsor the show. mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com, and the website, mikesdailypodcast.com, where there are links to where to listen to the show in all kinds of places. We're in iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher, Podomatic, Mixcloud, Spreaker, Player FM, Ameristream Live, and you can share this show on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Yelp, Tumblr. Share it with your friends. Let people know about us, help support the show. And there's also the Amazon link. Click on that and buy anything. Anytime you're going to buy anything on Amazon, go through mikesdailypodcast.com first, and that helps us out and helps support the show. You can also find the blog, the Daily Podcast Picture, all my past interviews there at mikesdailypodcast.com.
The MIKELOPEDIA INSANICA.
Yes, this is a book that is very big, full of interesting facts that you'll find fascinating. It is the MIKELOPEDIA INSANICA.
The last thing we notice is the color of skin, and the first thing we look for is the beauty within. When the skies and the oceans are clean again, then we shall be free.
So common sense would suggest that you win elections by getting behind issues that have broad public support. But Republicans took back the Senate in 2014 by doing the opposite. Let's break it down, shall we? Thanks to Rolling Stone magazine. What the people want. 62% of people say they want an end to government subsidies for oil, gas, and coal companies. To address this issue, Congress had Senator Robert Menendez, the Democrat from New Jersey. He sponsored a bill to cut $24 billion in subsidies for the big oil companies. Despite majority support, it was blocked by a Republican filibuster. What the Republicans did to make things worse, they, under pressure from the Senate's Drill Baby Drill Caucus, 80 million acres of the Gulf of Mexico were auctioned off to oil and gas companies. And how the GOP spun it? Well, Mitch McConnell said,
frankly, I can't think of a better way
to illustrate how completely out of touch Democrats are on this issue. Another big topic that, in fact, 83% of people agree with is having student loan interests set at 3.4% or lower. What Congress tried to do to address the issue was Senator Elizabeth Warren, the Democrat from Massachusetts, proposed a bill to grant college loans at the same near zero rate the Fed charges Wall Street. It died in committee. What the GOP did to make things worse was, well, Congress passed a bill that has raised new student loan rates to 4.6%, ensuring, which actually is 4.66%. So if you want to round that up, 4.7, ensuring a federal profit of $127 billion over the next decade. Well, John Boehner said,
I am pleased that Senate Democrats finally joined Republicans to provide a market-based solution on student loans.
And finally, 92% of the American public want background checks for all gun purchases. That's 92%. What Congress tried to do to fix this was 4 months after the Newtown massacre, a bill to mandate background checks won Senate support, but it failed to overcome a GOP filibuster. What they did, the Republicans, to make things worse, the Senate got more votes for a bill that made concealed carry permits valid across state lines, meaning someone from Kansas could pack heat on the streets of New York. How the GOP spun it? Well, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham from South Carolina said, President Obama's politically driven solutions to gun violence could not withstand scrutiny from the American people. 92%, Lindsey. 92%.
Late last night, I heard the screen door slam, and a big yellow taxi carried off my old man.
Soon, there won't be any big yellow taxis, Amy. Not the best version of that song, but Amy Grant there. According to What's Happening Tri-City Voice, can a company that didn't exist 5 years ago, an upstart with a knack for angering regulators, be close to being worth $40 billion? This, according to the Associated Press. That is the figure that had investors from Wall Street to Silicon Valley abuzz, a day after Uber announced it had received more money from venture capitalists than any private company in 2014. The investment places a value on the car service company that is higher than American Airlines or Kraft Foods. A stunning vote of confidence. The cash infusion from investors comes at a time when values for private businesses backed by venture capitalists is rising fast. New investments in Dropbox, a file sharing service, and Airbnb, a website for people renting out their homes, have sent their valuations soaring. A breakdown of the pros and cons of an investment in Uber. There's the promise. Uber is offering car service in 250 cities in 50 countries now, up from 60 cities in 21 countries just a year ago. You can order a car using its popular mobile app in Asia, North America, and Europe. Taxi and limousine companies around the world generate maybe $100 billion a year. Powerful network effects in some business. The more people who use a service, the more valuable it becomes. Think telephone companies or Facebook. More people want to get online to connect with friends, and that drives ad revenue. The same dynamic, called the network effect, may apply to Uber, at least on a local level. The idea is that more people using Uber will attract more drivers, which will cut wait times and attract still more drivers, which will attract more passengers in a virtuous feedback loop of growth and profits. First taxis, next the world. Uber has its sights on expanding into many other businesses like delivery services. It has teased customers with one-day deliveries of ice cream and kittens. Investors are hoping it will take on rental car companies like Hertz and Avis. In a video promotion, its financing program to potential Uber car drivers, Uber touts that anyone can buy or lease a car even if they have bad credit or no credit at all. And in the perils, regulatory backlash. Uber has been accused of flouting rules and regulations as it muscles its way into the taxi business. The company is fighting regulatory battles in Chicago and Miami. In Nevada, some of its cars have been impounded. Anti-Uber protests have broken out in Europe. In Berlin and Frankfurt, the service has been banned. Pennsylvania regulators granted Uber an experimental license to operate in much of the state, but warned that this was a last chance for the company and that it should abandon its anarchist ways. Of course, there is another way of looking at regulatory backlash. According to a 50-page report from Morgan Stanley on Uber's threat to the rental car industry, quote, "The level of acrimony is a testament to the success of the model and how starved consumers are for choice." Uber is facing competition, though, not just from a taxi industry eager to protect its turf, but from a bevy of smaller startups like Lyft, Sidecar, Halo, and Bandwagon. Lyft, which was founded 3 years after Uber, is pitching a cheery corporate image with pink mustaches on its cars and the slogan, "Your friend with a car." Some cities also have local taxi hailing apps. That's what the taxi people need to do, is to get more hip like the Ubers. The Ubers who have that, what is that, critical pricing when everything gets really busy. They up the price of the cars. Surge pricing, that's it. According to Steve Inskeep of NPR, a Denver woman paid $106 for a 20-mile Uber ride to an Elton John concert. But when she had to get back, she discovered Uber wanted $443. Yes, the price went up fourfold. Uber says surge pricing is just the rule, but is now giving Tracy Reed a partial refund. Meow. From cats. Cat lovers in the Bay Area are pouncing at a new cat cafe. Cat Town Cafe gives visitors a chance to mingle with furry friends while sipping coffee and nibbling on cat-themed cookies. Boy, I can just feel the itching begin on my back of my neck when I'm around cats in an enclosed area. Oh, I get such an allergic reaction. Love cats, think they're cute, but they just, the fur just, ugh. Next thing I know, my eyes puff up. I get my voice, I have a hard time to swallow. The cafe has been full since opening day. It's in Oakland. It was inspired by the cat cafe craze in Japan, where many people live in cramped high-rise apartments and they don't allow pets. Cat cafes are now open in London, Vienna, and Paris, and Cat Town's founders believe their coffee shop is the first of its kind in the U.S. A half dozen cat cafes are set to open in the U.S. this year, most of them along the West Coast. While making feline friends became popular therapy for lonely or anxious workers in Japan, the Oakland coffee shop puts the focus on the animals. The tuxedo, orange tabby, and Siamese cats napping or stretching in the sun in Cat Town come from a local shelter and are available for adoption. In fact, for a $10 donation to that local shelter, customers get 1 hour of kitty company when they can play with felines, scratch their backs, and watch them nap. Each person is given a designated window of time to make sure there are not too many cats at once in the room. This room painted with bright murals of cats. Oh, so beautiful. So beautiful. As we go outside of Cafe Anyway here at the last place on earth, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, California. I love that musical, Les Miserables. Wait, what? I mean, Cats. I always do that. I cross the two. Jared Padalecki, Johnny Galecki. Cross the two. James Spader, David Spade, Kevin Spacey. Crossed in my head.
And here's today's podcast pick
The picture's from my recent trip to Petaluma, and I went on the Lagunitas Brewery tour, and they let me take Basil the Boxer with me. He had such a fun time. I don't think there is a beer brewery tour on this earth that lets you bring a dog along. So, a big thumbs up to Lagunitas Brewery in Petaluma for letting me bring Basil along. He had such a good time. He sniffed all the hops and barley and the wonderful aromas coming from the wort and all the other stuff going on. And it's really neat. Inside the Lagunitas, they name different vats after their dogs that owners have had at Lagunitas. I think it's mainly named after dogs that have passed on, so it's sort of like in memoriam. It's very cute. A canine memoriam. It's very neat. So check that out. Check that picture out. Oh, actually, we're standing in front of some barrels where they age certain beers. So those are beers being aged, which reminded me very much of the Lynchburg, Tennessee tour. Yes, the Jack Daniel's distillery tour I took about 5 or 6 years ago now, and that was amazing. All the barrels there, and both cases, there's just a little bit of alcohol that's like oozing out of the barrel, but you dare not try and lick that, for you would be handcuffed and taken off the premises with splinters in your tongue, probably.
Michael Master, I can't wait to see that picture at Mike'sDailyPodcast.com.
That's right, Madame Rootabega.
And I'm so glad that Nern didn't show up on this show.
Yes, Nern, the Nernian from the planet Nern. He was on the last one. That was bizarre, the last show. I thought we were being invaded by him, but he was just stopping by to tell me that the word podcast is in fact a fine word, and to forget what Aaron Fonseca says about podcast being the wrong term, and everybody's supposed to be saying on demand instead of podcasting. Podcast is a fine, strange word that we've all accepted. It's been absorbed by the vernacular in the public.
That's right, Michael Master. Even Bison Bentley uses it.
Is that true, Bison Bentley?
Yeah, fact-checking. Big kiss. Do you know that?
Wow, it really has been absorbed. Okay, so next show, we're going to bring you the return of the very strange, conservative, crazy hillbilly Clem. Plus, we'll hear from Shelley Shuhart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere the Engineer.
Mike, don't you want to give a plug to that radio station that you're on now, Dave?
Oh, thank you for... You are trying to help my self-esteem.
It was by accident, Dave. Tea Party Express.
Oh, well, I am on a AM radio station in Connecticut now. Yes, odd things have happened in this world since you last listened to this podcast. I am now on in Griswold, Connecticut, on AM 1690 Wolverine Radio. And you can hear me. It's also at mygriswold.com. You can also find it in TuneIn, on the TuneIn radio app. And I am on weekdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you want to hear a great variety of music and me doing my DJ thing, listen to mygriswold.com. You'll find me there. And then you can also hear all the news that's going on in Griswold, Connecticut. There are some shocking things going on in Griswold. Potholes. Griswold promises their citizens a pothole to fall into. Potholes. Pots to pee in. Podcasts. I think we're done.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at Mike'sDailyPodcast.com.
Email Mike now at Mike'sDailyPodcast@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye!